Okay, getting off to a very late start with this one. Yeah, I've had a lot to do today, and my back's been kind of acting up. But I do have this to open today, and this is from the McFarlane DC Superpowers line. Little McFarlane logo around here somewhere. Yeah, there, McFarlane Toys. And this is Manga Batman from the Batman Japanese manga from the 1960s. So when the Batman TV show came over to Japan, it was really popular, and they decided to adapt some of various Batman comic book stories into a more Japanese friendly manga format, and the artwork was really cool. And they did, you know, to me, it was kind of an odd selection of stories, but I guess they were stories that were, contemporary stories of the time. But you didn't really see a whole lot of like the traditional Batman rogues gallery in there. You saw characters like, Lord Deathman and Doctor No Face, and kind of some bizarre one-shot villains to it. And you can see that I got this one at GameStop. They put a sticker right over the manga Batman logo, but we can see it on the card there, Batman in Japanese. And the bio reads, in the name of his murdered parents, Bruce Wayne wages an eternal war on the criminals of Gotham City. He is vengeance. He is the night. He is Batman. And then it's got it in French and in Spanish. And then we've got cross-all artwork of all the figures in the Superpowers line so far. I happen to have nearby Green Lantern, who's not on the first version of the Superpowers card, but he was on the one that they added him, obviously, when this figure came out. Originally, it was just Superman, Batman, and Darkseid on there, but we can really see how this line has grown if we compare the two. So this is an extra one I got for a custom. So anyway, but we can see the Brainiac Skull Ship and the Blue Beetle Bug, and lots more figures than what we saw last time. The other one I happened to get was the card got the bubble got kind of crushed a little bit. Got the yellow version of Sinestro, which he was one that I was not able to get for pre-order on Amazon. So it's a good thing that I found him. So let's go ahead and open up Batman. And it seems like unlike the Bronze Age type Batman, I think that one's officially called Detective Batman. Although shouldn't every Batman be a detective? Unlike that one, the card seems rather like the glue is pretty good on that one. So there we go. And there's a little backing in there to make sure that his cape doesn't flap around in the package. And get Batman out of here. Does not seem to be any rubber bands or anything holding him in, which I like that. I like the lack of rubber bands. He still made plenty of noise getting him in the package. So let's see. There we go. Get all that put back together so I can toss that in recycling later. And I took the cape off of him so it'd be a little easier to get it out of the package. I don't want to get that messed up. It's got a little C-clip to hold it onto his neck. And there he is out of the package. So this is a reuse of the Hush Batman, which was the first Batman to come out in this line. And somewhere around here, yeah, I've got Batman of Zur-En-Arrh, who also reuses this same body mold, so we can see them next to each other. And one thing that these two have in common is they both add the black shading to the forehead, which I think makes them look a little bit better. And then completely different mold. Here's the Detective Batman that I was referring to earlier. So we can see them next to each other. And since I happen to have him nearby, also shares a lot of parts with Flashpoint Batman, Thomas Wayne, although it's a different belt and different thighs, so he can have the gun holsters that can't hold guns. So let's take off his cape and we can go over his articulation. So the head rotates all the way around. The arms rotate all the way around the shoulders. Legs kick up about that far. Legs kick back about that far. So you can do the splits no problem. There is no torso articulation whatsoever. He cannot turn at the waist. No ab crunch, nothing like that. He does have some knee articulation. Knees bend about that far. But this is, for the most part, an 80s style articulated figure. Back then, we were happy to get 5 points of articulation. It was all we could get. And outside of GI Joe had a good amount of articulation, and superpowers were good enough to give us an extra bit of articulation at the knees usually. So it follows within that tradition. It's supposed to be a retro style 80s figure. And speaking of retro style, since this is based on the manga of Batman, which was mostly in black and white, but sometimes incorporated some other colors, usually some red, into the printing. So he's got like this kind of orangish, peachish kind of shade to his belt and his emblem. Because again, they were basically just using red ink, so they made it like a really light pink, so that it would kind of give the illusion of having like a yellow coloration to it. Because it's one of those things where, like, if you're looking at it and you're not really thinking, it looks like a blue and gray Batman, but it's actually like a dark gray and light gray Batman with this kind of, like I said, this kind of almost like creamsicle kind of color to his belt and his emblem. And that is a unique emblem if we compare it to the standard Batman emblem that we have on the Detective Batman. That's what Batman emblem was seen on a lot of merchandise, but this one has its own unique emblem. Supposed to look like, supposed to evoke the feel of what it looked like in the manga, which we can see on the illustration here. It's not 100% exactly the same thing, but it varied enough from, I think, from image to image that it looks pretty cool. So yeah, he's a pretty neat figure. I'm glad to have him in my collection. I've got a little bit of a fondness for that Batmanga myself. I've read quite a few of them, especially the Lord Deathman story. I really like that one. And it kind of improved on the actual original Silver Age, the American version, in a lot of ways, I think. So they've made a lot of Batman figures in this line so far. And that's not really surprising because Batman's one of the marquee characters. So they've made several different Batmans and several different Supermans. But what I'll say for the Batman is that the Batman variants is all of them are fairly interesting in some way. Like, you have the Hush Batman, which seems like a reasonable way to start off with. Jim Lee's Batman is pretty popular these days. I'd say probably one of the more popular versions of Batman. Not my particular favorite, but understandable they would go with that one. And then you got the Bronze Age Batman, which is my personal favorite. So I think that's probably a logical choice for the next one. We had the Flashpoint Batman, which technically is Thomas Wayne, not Bruce Wayne. We had the Batman all in black, and that one was pretty cool. We had the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh, which again technically is a different character because that's Toronto. I don't count the Batman who laughs at all, but if you do, there he is. Got the Gold Batman, which fans of the old Kenner Dark Knight collection, you'll remember that one fondly, as a Tech Shield Batman. And then finally we have the Manga Batman. So yeah, they did a pretty good job of I think picking out some various versions of the character. And I know they're doing a Dark Knight Returns version. It'll be interesting to see how they execute that in superpowers. I probably wouldn't mind if they used this body because it is a little more bulky than the Bronze Age type Batman body. So it would make sense. But they might wind up giving him a wholly original body. Holy original body, Batman! But even if they did reuse this body for Dark Knight Returns, I'd like for them to give him a different head, because obviously these ears are going to be a little too long. He should have more of a wrinkly face anyway. So, but it'll be interesting to see what they do when they finally do. Anyway, if you want to see me cover that figure whenever it eventually comes out, make sure you like and subscribe and do all that fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this figure. It's a pretty short video, but it usually is when I do superpowers. Not a whole lot to go over. It's a pretty basic action figure, but I'm happy with it. So we will talk to you next time. Bye. And the stream. Why don't